Alright, welcome back everyone. This is K1 and we're going to pick up where we left off with our assembly line. We're going to be concentrating on painting the flesh and the leather or the boots or whatever that's going to be brown or wooden is what we're going to concentrate today. These are of course the models that we had and we're going to be focusing on. This is the one that was just hand painted and did the washes. You can tell this is the one that we had been dry brushing, so they're both good examples of the different feel and different textures and how they will look. This one is the dry brush, and I'll do it slowly so you can see the model itself. There we go. You can see the model itself. And then this is the one that was painted. You can see they're a bit different. They both have their positives and then their setbacks. Like this one is a lot faster when the dry brush. This is the one that we dry brushed and then painted some highlights of different odd colors. What I did was just go back and do a dark wash over it so that the part that looked off green, kind of like this bracer here that kind of looked like a baby puke color, I just went over it with the green that was the same kind of green that we did the wash with, and it just dulled it down. So like I was saying before, if you happen to put on a color and you don't happen to like it, you can always do a wash, you can paint it over it. That is one of the reasons that layering and painting or putting thin layers of paint on the model is actually really good, because if it doesn't come out the way you want, they're thin layers and you can go over it without it being too gunky, I guess you can say. Alright, so these are the ones we're going to concentrate on. From the old Citadel paint colors, right, we have, this is tan flesh, we have dwarf flesh, and then we have elf flesh. So these are the colors we're going to be using for the actual skin tones. We're going to start with the tan and work our way up to the elf flesh, and then we're going to work on the browns, which we have. I don't have browns in any sort of succession. I just have these certain colored browns, if I can recall what they were. I have burnt umber, and I have a burnt sienna. So these are the two colors I'm going to be working with. One is a nice brown color, dark color, and the other one is kind of like a terracotta color almost when it comes on, or when you see it. So you mix those up with some paints and you get a nice different feel to it, depending on what you want to go with. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with this with this tanned flesh. So I'm going to do is layers, right? I think this brush is going to be a little bit too thick to be doing these. I'm going to layer this paint, so I'm going to want something thin. Alright, so don't forget, after you use your brushes, even if you're just putting paint onto the tile or whatever you're working with, you want to rinse off your brushes. Right? And then what we're going to use is we're going to use a spotter brush or the number 1 brush, or this is a 3/0 brush, I think. And this is a double 0, so you can see the different sizes. I'm going to work with this one. It's newer, and it's shorter, so it'll allow me a little bit more control. You'll have to excuse me if I do happen to get really close in here and I miss the camera, but I will try and basically lean in. Alright, so you want to put it in there, and you want to get the whole flesh tones. Right? You want to keep it in the area that is going to be flesh. You don't want to go over into other areas. This one you can go straight up to the line of anything that's overlapping. Like you can see I'm going straight up to the line of the mask. And then you just put that in there. Try not to get the mask, just on the portion of the skin that comes up to the mask. Because this is the darkest tone. What's going to happen is, as we go lighter, you're going to see the highlights and the rest of the skin get painted. So the darkest part is going to be the tan flesh. Right? Darkest part is going to be the tan flesh, and as you go up, the dwarf flesh is going to be a little bit more bronzish in color. Oops, and see, I already made a mistake here. Which is fine, I just scrape it off of my finger. Which basically I got a little paint on the armor. But like I said, this is not that big of a deal, you can just go over it. But if it's still wet, just go ahead and use your finger, brush it off. You know, it's no big deal. Now if you want, you can go right into the eye and paint the eye too. There's different ways to paint the eyeball. Some people like to do a black dot or a black line across the eye and then paint 2 white dots to kind of delineate the pupil. Some people like to do a white line and then 1 black dot and just paint the pupil in that way. Right? So we're going to go over, let me see, I am going to have this be just skin. So I'm going to go in there and just paint the skin in there. Right. So it's very helpful when you have this stand in this pot. Like I mentioned before, if you don't know what it is, just look into one of the other videos that I have. I go over it and I mention it. What I'm using, the different colors, and the materials that I'm using. I went over some of the tools that are going to be necessary for you to have in some of the first videos. And you can just go back and check those out. Alright, so I'm going to go and then just put this in the flesh. I don't want to over paint the whole thing. I don't want to get into the bracers or the arms or the shirts or anything like that. So I guess the hair won't really matter because you're going to repaint the hair anyway and it's not going to be green. Right, so that's going to be the tan color. Alright, so we have that looks like that's part of the boot, but this side is going to be leg. He's showing some knee, maybe a little bit of leg there. Or she, sorry. Because you can see she has a chest. She has the breast, so which that makes him a woman, a girl, which makes it a she. Alright, so this part you can't really tell, and then we're going to do the hands. There we go. Hands painted, and you don't have to worry about getting into the sword. It'd be best to try not to, so that way you don't have to do extra work. But if you do, don't worry about it. You can just do a dark wash with the tan flesh and maybe mix in a little bit of black or brown to really kind of get in there and give it a real dark shadow in between the fingers. Right? So there's the hand. We want to keep this thin so that we can do layers of it if we need be. There we go. So we just do it on the hand. We want to try and keep it within the fingers. It's okay if it gets in between the fingers on inside of the hand, but you don't want it to go outside. What I mean is you don't want it to actually go onto the bow past the exterior limits of the hand. Inside the hand is fine because you could do a wash and it'll look like it's just skin holding on to the bow, which is fine because that's what it looks like anyway. Right? And if, like I said before, if it's wet, you can still pick out some of the paint so it doesn't, before it dries up. Right? So you just pick up some of the paint like that, and that's pretty much good. Sorry about that. That is, there's my phone going off twice. So, I just have to wait for it to get through. And then we'll just go ahead and continue. Yeah, sorry about that. Alright, so now we can continue. Here we are. Alright, we paint the hand. Right, there we go. You got the inside, because remember to rotate the model because you can't always see every angle of it. There we go. There we go. Right, so we just keep going, and we're going to do the same thing we did with the other model. Just paint the face, and you don't have to do anything crazy. Just do little brush strokes. You can dab it, whatever you feel most comfortable in painting, in whichever way. We've gone over different styles, you know, painting the model. You can do with a little bit of water and just kind of paint it on there, and then blend it in with the rest of the colors that you're going to put in. Right? I don't know, can you see that I'm working on? Maybe not so much. Here we go. Alright, so we're going to be going into there. I'm just going to kind of dab it so I can get the top eyelid a little bit. Right? And then just go on. So I'll do the fingers again. Remember, this one, it doesn't really matter if you get it between the fingers on the inside of the hand, as long as it doesn't go past the outside. Because when you highlight it, then you're going to get just the fingers and leave the recessed parts intact. So it has that tan color. It gives you the tan flesh color and makes it a nice right, so this one doesn't have any legs showing, so I'm going to just leave it that way. Right? And let's see, this is actually rather nice. I can go over it again, give it a second layer of paint if we wanted to. Try to make it a little bit more even. It's not going to do much Right, so we're going to do a little bit here, and then just put in some water. There you go, add some water, and then you have some nice thin layering. Notice that every single time I always do this drag, and I turn the brush to make sure I get a nice point on the end, and all the paint will basically go where I want it to go. And as it goes along, or as it gets used up, you can use the edge of the brush, or if you have large paint pieces or parts of the model that you want to paint, use the long edge of the brush and just kind of run it across instead of using the tip. Right, so just run it across, and then you have the whole area just painted without too much effort. Right, just like that. So you don't have to go too much trouble. Just let it glide on, and it does all the work for you. Right, this one apparently I missed the pinky. And just go on there, and it's fine. Right, just go back here and do the same thing, make your point, and then you can go over. And as you go along and you do the highlighting, what you're going to do, oh, good, you can still see it, not completely out of frame. I got to remember to check that every once in a while, make sure I'm still in frame. That way the video is useful to you, and you can enjoy it, and you can see everything that I'm doing. Make sure it helps you as much as it can. So yeah, we're going through this, and you just let the brush do the work. You put the paint on there and just glide it across. And as you do smaller parts or more technical pieces, you just use the tip of the brush to be more exact. Right, so just use this. And it's good that we did another layer there of paint. Here we go, right? I think I'm going a little bit too much there. I think I painted the bow, but it doesn't matter because the bow is going to be painted anyway. We have our browns here ready. We might mix that in with a little bit of yellow or a little bit of white. Give it a nice ash color, you know, like an ash tree kind of color. There's that kind of woody color. Something that's a little bit lighter in the browns, right? So we got here. We do a little bit of, just use the tip, just point, just touch the model, and then the paint will just go on there wherever you're touching the model, and it'll do the work for you. Just like I've been saying, you have a little bit of black here. Just push the tip onto the model, and then as the bristles bend, it gets the paint onto the model. So that's what you want to do. Sometimes the bow will block your view or even your angle in which you're painting, and you're going to have to adjust. That's fine. That happens. It's all part of, you know, painting. It's just what happens. I can see this part. This part I think I'm going to do like a really, like a whitish color, and then I'm going to just put in a hint of green so it has that. Alright, sorry about that. That was a phone call I had to take. And so we're going to be going on. We were here with this model, and so it seems like it looks like we're pretty much doing all the flesh has been done, maybe a little bit more. There we go, right up against the mask. There we go. And then that would be pretty much it. Right? Maybe I'm just being a bit of a perfectionist. I gotta remember to put this underneath of the light. If it's under the light, you can see it. I gotta remember that. Alright, so those are done. For the first layer, being the darkest layer of the tan, we're gonna go into dwarf flesh, But what I'm going to do is I am going to use this dwarf flesh that I got and mix it in with this tan flesh and give me a maybe a 50-50 mixture of the tan flesh with the dwarf flesh. That might be a bit too much water, which is fine, because what I really don't want something that dark. I want to do something lighter. So I'm going to use some more dwarf flesh here and mix it in. But straight dwarf flesh looks a little orangey, kind of like you have a fake tan. So I'm going to try and avoid that. And use this this color that we got here. And like I said before, right, what we're going to do is we're going to paint it, but we're not going to go into the recessed areas, right? We're just going to paint the part that is raised. And this is the part where now you're going to use just the edge of your brush to go over these parts. Alright, so what you want to do, excuse me, just paint some of the larger areas that you have first, or at least that's one of the things I do, right? Not go up all the way to the end, because that's where you have your tan flesh, right? So you just want to do the parts where you know you got light going in there. It's not quite a highlight yet, so just get the general areas of the skin, right? And then just use the edge of your brush to get the pieces that you want, and just touch it. Or you can brush it along, like, you know, just brush it along the finger if you're steady, like that, and then you'll get the whole finger. And it goes by a lot faster, but if it slips, it's going to get into the recess area. And like I mentioned before, you can simply wipe the paint off your brush and then try and collect the excess paint that was wiped, or that went into the recessed areas, the cracks. But it's just easier to not get it in there. Right. So there's part, which is why I said if you go along and you paint the larger surface areas first, what's left is minimal paint on the brush, and then you just use that to go over the parts of your model, right? And so since this is not really watered down layer, you can really just paint away. And you can leave the back part of the arm from getting all of the paint, or wait until you're running low of paint on your brush, and then just kind of blend it into the tan flesh color, and then you get a nice shadowy skin tone, right? So that helps. And we have background music now, which is provided by Sanchuk official channel. He has several mixes on there. So you guys like hardstyle, like hardcore, basically electronic style of music, go check him out. It's a great channel. I listen to it all the time. I particularly like the Anger Fist mixes that he has. I'm more partial to those, but all the other stuff is cool too. I listen to all of it, I really do, and it's something that you can listen to when you're painting, or like they do when they're at parties here, which I love to go to. I don't go too much anymore, but I used to go all the time. I've actually seen him, Anger Fist, live once, as well as some of the other DJs like Neophyte and DJ Tron and Rotterdam Terrorcore. Those are big names. So yeah, we just go on with the painting of these models, and hopefully this is to the liking of Dibs, or Filthy Creatures. He has a channel. He's a YouTube gamer. He's a YouTube streamer. He has his own channel on here. He plays games. Just last night he was playing Call of Duty Black Ops. He was doing his Road to Dark Matter. He's really fun to watch. He's a good guy. He's really cool. You should check him out, as well as some of the other streamers that we have out here, like ArcDK and Veritech. So you should check that out. You know, Card Plays. They're all really good streamers. And I am going to see if there's anything else. I don't think there's anything else that I can go over on here. That's actually a pretty good mixture. So now what I'm going to do is do a little bit of straight dwarf flesh. This is not going to be a big mixture, as you can tell, mainly because after we do this, it will be, oops, looks like I missed part of it here. I missed a piece right here on the leg. And like I said, you don't want to go all the way to the edge. You don't want to cover up that tan flesh color. Kind of want to leave it there. If you can, if you want to, you can blend it in to the mixture that we did. It works really well. Here we are, right? So we got that done. Now my plan was to go from skin tones to browns, but since we're already almost done with these skin tone colors, we're just going to keep going. And I want to thank all of you guys for watching. I want to thank you for subscribing and hitting the like button. Give it a thumbs up if you do like it. It really helps out. Let me see here, this side. It looked like this might have actually been armor or a shirt, but we're just painting it flesh. She's a little bit flabby on the arm. Right? So we're going to go in here and paint the thumb. Paint these fingers here. Remember, like I said, just touch it. And then let the bristles of the edge, the point of the brush, do the work. If you want to do it and paint it and actually do like a cross, you can. I'm just using the edge and going down across the fingers to make sure I leave the recessed areas dark, which gives it that nice color. I don't know if you can even tell. Alright. If you can tell, that would be great. Anyway, so I'll go into the face and not go over all the dark parts, all the recess areas. There we go, just the chin here, got some, oops. See, that's the kind of stuff that happens. That's alright. It got a lot of the paint off my brush when doing that, and then I can just kind of blend it in there. Just kind of stipple it in, and I get the part that I wanted, and it's perfect. It actually helped out a little bit in the painting. So sometimes you get those happy little accidents, and they all work out for you. Now I'm going to do straight dwarf flesh onto this. I'm going to do a little bit of, hopefully blend it in a little bit there so you can see. Right, so I'm doing that. Then we're going to go over here and we're going to do the same thing on this side. Right, so we want just enough flesh. Add just a little bit of water, just enough to thin it down a little bit, not too much. Remember, if it's too watery, you can always just dab it onto the paper towel, whatever you have, and it'll take off any of the excess paint. Anything that's too watery, it'll just go right on there, and it'll just leave you with paint on your brush. So that's what we want to do. I know sometimes you get to have the tendency, or you get the urge to just do lines, like I was doing right there. I just painted across the cheekbone and the chin, which makes it kind of like that Joker smile that Heath Ledger had in The Dark Knight, which you don't really want. So you could do it that way and then just correct it with another little line down the cheekbone, you know, the side of the mouth, so it won't look like a cut smile. It'll look like a regular face. Right, so we got the fingers. Once again, I'm just lightly pulling the brush across the finger, and it'll get the raised parts while leaving the recessed areas dark. Right, so we got that. And so as I'm going, what I'm going to do is, this is going to be my final coat, unless I mess up, in which case I will have to go back to the skin. This is going to be my last two. Right, so make sure you mix, you shake up your paints. Right, so I'm going to pull some of this onto the elf flesh here. Right, you can see it, you pull it down, and then that'll wipe a lot of the paint off your brush, while at the same time, when you twist it, it gives it a nice point to your brush, in which case you can stipple, or like I'm doing here, just run it across, and it'll... Now this one you just barely want to touch it, just barely kind of scratch it across. Now you don't want it to be lines, so you're going to have to do it maybe a couple times, or if you can get it right, you only have to do it once. So I'm going to do this, and then go across. Lightly, because I want to do a little bit of the blending. Right, so this is basically what you're doing. This is the actual skin tone that you want people to be seeing, like, oh, okay, that's the skin tone that the elf is. Everything else is just a base coat, or the darkened parts, shadow of the skin, basically, is what it is. And the elf flesh, mixed with a little bit of the dwarf flesh, is the actual color of the elf itself. See? Alright, maybe you'll be able to see it better with this one. Right, so get that thin layer on there, and then you just remember, you're not going over all of that part before, and if you do, you want to blend it in a little bit, right? Just blend it in a little bit. This part you're going to go into the top areas, light where it's getting hit most with the light. That's where you want to put this in, because these are really kind of like your main flesh tones, your main skin tones that you're doing. And just kind of, even though it doesn't feel like you have paint on your brush, there is, and you can just run it across and just kind of really blend it in there. Just brush it onto the model. Just remember, you got to do the same thing with the fingertips. Kind of use the side, just kind of brush it across. Paint that's left on your brush will just come out. There you go, like that. Alright, you can turn and twist your brush as you're doing it, so make sure you keep a point. Right? do it in whichever direction you need to. And if you have to, just go ahead and put in some more and then just wipe it across your tile, because it'll still have paint on from your brush, but you'll just basically added some more and then brushed off the excess of it, which allows you then to just go across and then blend it in again. Alright. Now for the face, you need a little bit more paint. So you just want to grab a little bit more paint, drag it across, and then just apply it to the highlighted areas, or the raised areas of the skin, which casts most of the light, which really gives you the pigment of your skin, or your skin tone, right? Oops, that might have been a little bit too much. And then again, she's an elf. Elves have that whitish, pasty white skin.